economic event. Radio Algeria International, our voice in the world.
This is the English service of Radio Algeria International. It's time for the news.
The President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, has chaired a meeting of the Council of Ministers during which the 2026 Finance Law was adopted. Several memoranda of understanding were signed as the African and Mediterranean Energy and Hydrogen Exhibition and Conference NAPEC 2025 has kicked off today in the western city of Oran, bringing together national and international energy experts, companies and policymakers. And as indirect negotiations were held today in Cairo as part of the first stage of US President Trump's peace plan, the Israeli army pursued its bombing of Gaza, killing and wounding several Palestinians. Hello and welcome on Radio Algeria International. I'm your host, Mariam Barshi. The President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, has chaired a meeting of the Council of Ministers during which the 2026 Finance Law was adopted. On the occasion, President Tebboune ordered that the law should not include any increases that would undermine citizens' purchasing power. After examination and debate, the 2026 Finance Bill was adopted by the Council, taking these guidelines into account. The President of the Republic's guidelines focused on the implementation of a plan to modernize and develop the mechanisms of action and the National Statistics Office, with the creation of annexes covering the provinces and municipalities so that the state has a statistical vision based on the reality of rural Algeria. He also instructed that the next finance bill should encourage investment and competition and be based on studied economic feasibility. President Tebboune stressed the need to work towards establishing a non-restrictive but more effective tax base to combat tax evasion. The President also insisted on the need for the distribution of desalinated water from the new stations to reach a radius of at least 250 kilometers from the coast. The decision on the location of these stations is to be taken at the next Council of Ministers meeting. He called for further studies to be conducted on the construction of 5 new desalination plants, giving priority to densely populated cities suffering from water stress, particularly in the highlands. The President of the Republic refused to allow any diversion of agricultural land from its original purpose for public projects. He instructed the government to adopt other mechanisms to identify non-arable land that could be used for these projects. The President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, congratulated the Algerian athletes who won medals at the World Para-Athletics Championships in New Delhi, India. The President of the Republic said that the athletes were the champions of Algeria. They have once again honored the country at the World Para-Athletics Championships in New Delhi and flown the national flag high. President Tebboune thanked the athletes and all the technical and administrative staff for this achievement. And now we move to Western Algeria, where the African and Mediterranean Energy and Hydrogen Exhibition and Conference NAPEC 2025 opened today in the city of Oran, bringing together national and international energy experts, companies and policymakers, with several memoranda of understanding signed on the first day. Mushoud Sharfi is reporting from Oran. He has more details.
In his opening speech, the Minister of Energy, Mr. Mohammed Arqab, said the event reflects a shared vision to accelerate energy transition through partnerships, investment, innovation and technology, serving as a platform to exchange expertise and explore opportunities for a sustainable energy mix.
This event is held under the theme Accelerating Tomorrow's Energy and Achieving an Efficient Energy Mix through Partnerships, Investment, Innovation and Technology, a theme that reflects our shared vision to accelerate the energy transition and uphold the principles of cooperation and a mutually beneficial partnership as 2 key pillars for achieving a balanced and sustainable energy mix. This forum provides an ideal platform for exchanging visions and expertise and for discussing opportunities for cooperation and innovation across the value chains of the hydrocarbons and clean energy sectors, with a focus on the major challenges and the opportunities offered for achieving an effective energy transition that reduces the carbon footprint and enhances global energy security.
Mr. Arkab reaffirmed Algeria's commitment to responsible energy development, highlighting natural gas as a key transitional fuel. He cited over $60 billion in investments by 2029 with Qatar Energy, Eni, Sinopec and Total Energies, alongside efforts to boost production, expand petrochemicals, advance the Trans-Saharan gas pipeline and reduce emissions. The president and CEO of Sonatrach, Rashid Hashishi, for his part, reaffirmed at NAPEC 2025 Algeria's role as a key energy partner, highlighting Sonatrach's strategy to ensure market stability, advance cleaner production and support the energy transition. He underscored efforts to modernize infrastructure, strengthen partnerships, and develop natural gas and hydrogen as part of a long-term vision combining hydrocarbons with renewable solutions to reinforce Algeria's energy leadership. In this regard, the president of the Hydrocarbons Regulatory Authority, ARH, Amin Ramini, said that Algeria remains a symbol of stability amid global uncertainty, reaffirming the ARH's commitment to transparency and a clear vision for energy development.
In global energy context marked by uncertainty, geopolitical tensions and market fluctuations, Algeria more than ever embodies a goal of stability and sustainability. At the ARH, we are committed to consolidating this stability by fully playing our role as an impartial regulator, ensuring transparency and creating a climate of confidence conducive to investment in existing and new projects. Algeria has the skills and infrastructure necessary for a significant development of its energy sector. While assuring stability, we have a clear, precise and achievable vision and objectives.
NAPEC 2025's high-level strategic program focused on the first day on energy transition, investment and technological innovation. Panels brought together government representatives, CEOs and international experts to discuss Algeria's strategy for achieving an efficient and sustainable energy mix. Sessions highlighted the role of partnerships in advancing renewable energy digitization and decarbonization initiatives, reaffirming Algeria's ambition to become a regional hub for both hydrocarbons and clean energy projects. On the other hand, today's technical program included panels on geothermal potential and geomodeling methods, highlighting Algeria's scientific and technological expertise. Discussions also focused on energy transition strategies, creating opportunities for collaboration with international partners on green hydrogen production and clean energy projects. Throughout the day, Sonatrach developed and is expected to develop partnerships with national and international companies to advance the energy transition, including joint green hydrogen studies with the electricity and gas group Sonalgas and European partners via the South 2 corridor, a two-phase hydrogen project with CEPSA and cooperation with the Italian company Eni to boost gas output and promote renewable energy and decarbonization. From the western city of Oran, Mr. Charfi to Radio Algeria International.
Algeria and 7 other OPEC Plus countries have decided to collectively increase their production by around 137,000 barrels per day starting in November. The decision was taken during a ministerial meeting held via video conference, bringing together the 8 OPEC Plus countries that have applied voluntary adjustments to crude oil production, namely Algeria, represented by the Minister of State in charge of hydrocarbons and mines, Mohammed Arkab, Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, Iraq, Kazakhstan, Kuwait, the Sultanate of Oman and Russia. During the meeting, these countries agreed on a collective increase in production of around 137,000 barrels per day from November 2025, specifying that Algeria will increase its production by 4,000 barrels per day during the same month. Mr. Arkab stressed that the decision reflects a cautious and balanced approach aimed at preserving market stability while ensuring the necessary flexibility to adapt to changing global economic conditions. He added that this moderate increase in production, planned for November, comes at a time of uncertainty, with global demand for oil remaining strong but expected to slow in the coming months. The ministers have reaffirmed their commitment to maintaining coordination through monthly meetings in order to regularly monitor market developments and ensure the effective implementation of the agreed measures. The next ministerial meeting of the 8 OPEC Plus countries is scheduled for November 2nd, 2025. The meeting was attended by the CEO of the Sonatrach Group, Rashid Hashishi, the chairman of the National Agency for the Development of Hydrocarbon Resources, Nasamir Bakhti, and executives from the hydrocarbon and mining sector. And as indirect negotiations were held today in Cairo as part of the first stage of US President Trump's peace plan, the Israeli army pursued its pounding of Gaza, killing and wounding several Palestinians. According to the news agency WAFA, at least 7 people were killed and several others wounded in the Israeli bombardments which targeted various parts of the territory. It is worth noting that over 67,000 Palestinians have been killed and thousands of others wounded since the Israeli army launched its operations on Gaza 2 years ago. Meanwhile, indirect discussions took place today in the resort town of Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt, to allow for the release of hostages as of the first stage of the peace plan recently put forth by US President. In this connection, the Palestinian Hamas movement's chief negotiator, Khalid El-Hayya, stressed that the discussions would address first the mechanisms of a ceasefire, the Israeli troop withdrawal, and an exchange of prisoners. Prior to the discussions, the Hamas delegation's members were due to have talks with the Egyptian and Qatari mediators. In Morocco, tens of thousands of people have once again demonstrated in the capital Rabat to denounce the normalization of the kingdom's relation with the Israeli occupying authorities. The protesters rallied in Rabat's main streets and chanted slogans denouncing the generalized normalization process in all sectors. They also denounced the pursuit of the Israeli attack in the Gaza Strip. And in France, France's new Prime Minister, Sébastien Lecornu, and his government have resigned this morning, hours after Lecornu announced his cabinet lineup in a major deepening of France's political crisis that drove stocks and the euro sharply lower. The swift and unexpected resignation came after allies and opponents threatened to bring down the new government, with Lecornu saying that this meant he could not do his job. Opposition parties immediately urged President Emmanuel Macron to resign or called a snap parliamentary election, saying there was no other way out of the crisis. Lecornu, who was Macron's 5th prime minister in 2 years, stayed in a job for only 27 days. His government lasted 14 hours, making it the shortest lived in modern French history, at a time when Parliament is deeply divided and the Eurozone's second largest economy is struggling to put its finances in order. The Iranian Foreign Ministry has announced that Iran does not plan at this stage to resume negotiations with European countries on its nuclear program following the reimposition of sanctions against it. The Foreign Ministry spokesman Ismail Barieh said at a press conference that Iran is not considering negotiations at this stage, adding that Iran is examining the consequences and implication of the restoration of sanctions, which were lifted 10 years ago. The spokesman stressed that diplomacy, in the sense of maintaining contacts and consultations, will of course continue, adding that whenever we believe that diplomacy can be effective, we will certainly take decision in accordance with the interests and priorities of the country. On September 28th, the UN reimposed sanctions against Iran over its nuclear program. Iran denies having such military ambitions, but insists on its right to nuclear power for civilian purposes, particularly for electricity generation. According to the International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, Iran is the only non-nuclear weapon state to enrich uranium to a high level, up to 60%, close to the technical threshold of 90% needed to manufacture an atomic bomb. And in Burkina Faso, several terrorists, including leaders, have been killed in recent weeks in counter-terrorist operations or terrorism operations carried out by Burkina Faso's defense and security forces in several locations across the country. During these operations, which took place in the east, west and north of the country, terrorists were captured and equipment recovered. And now a reminder of today's top stories. The President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, has chaired a meeting of the Council of Ministers during which the 2026 Finance Law was adopted. Several memoranda of understanding was signed as the African and Mediterranean Energy and Hydrogen Exhibition and Conference, NAPEC 2025, has kicked off today in the western city of Oran, bringing together national and international energy experts, companies and policymakers. As indirect negotiations were held today in Cairo as part of the first stage of US President Trump's peace plan, the Israeli army pursued its bombing of Gaza, killing and wounding several Palestinians. That's it for today's news bulletin. Stay tuned on Radio Algeria International.
Welcome to Radio Algeria International. I'm Mr. Sharfi reporting from the North Africa Energy and Hydrogen Exhibition and Conference, or NAPEC 2025, here in Oran. This year's event focuses on accelerating tomorrow's energy and achieving an efficient energy mix through partnerships, investment, innovation and technology. I'm pleased today to be joined by Hans Joachim Polk, Member of Executive Board, VNG AG.
I'm responsible for operations, gas transport, gas storage, biomethane, biogas production, as well as green gases like hydrogen. And hydrogen is the topic why I'm here. Last year I have signed